Good afternoon. We want to welcome everyone to another episode of Meet NBPD. I'm here with Chief Joseph Cordero and our guest, Jill Ferrens. Jill is here to explain a wonderful program that she has. Jill, could you explain a little bit about your program and tell people what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're glad you're here.
I appreciate it. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first and why the program started. I'm a mom of 6, so I am a frequent flyer to the ERs. Unfortunately, we did have a child that was critically ill, and we spent an enormous amount of time at Boston Children's for months. And Jack underwent numerous surgeries, and I realized if I had put a superhero mask on Jack, that his outcome would come out a little bit brighter. So I began this program when we came out of the hospital. It's been in existence for about 6 months, and what it is I have what I call our South Coast superheroes. So if a child comes into the ER or the OR, they become a superhero, meaning they get a mask and they get a little cape and they get a teddy bear. And it somehow transforms them so that their experience is a little bit brighter. And even for 1 second, if it makes their experience a little better, it's so worth it. It's amazing what a cape does when you put it on a child. And so I wanted to branch out with this program and really put it across the region for other departments, which is when I met the chief and asked if we could perhaps implement it into your department as well. And so graciously they did. And
I'm so excited about that, Jill. Not knowing you very well, what a big heart you have.
Oh,
and
thank
what
you.
a huge commitment it is, to do this for our community. So the first experience I personally had with this, Jill, is when you had left me a sample, really a set. And unbeknownst to me, I had a little girl, and you might have seen it on our Facebook. If you haven't, go on our Facebook, New Bedford Police Facebook, and you see this beautiful little girl who came for a tour at the station. She had just lost her dad, and when I gave her the cape and gave her that little mask, you're right, it transforms them into another world, a moment of just happiness.
Right.
Right?
It allows them to maybe remove themselves from a perhaps scary situation that they are in and all of a sudden become this superhero. And I say a lot in the community that I am a quarterback of a really amazing team, and that team is our towns and our community that we live in, and they all wear invisible capes to me because what you all do is pretty amazing for me. And I think somehow if you can transform and make a situation that just isn't always positive a little bit brighter, even for it's a second, then it means everything to me to follow through and make sure these capes are delivered and that people have them on hand. And
That's wonderful, Jill. On our way up here, Lieutenant and I and Jill were driving up, and you were telling us a story about how you hold babies.
I do. I'm a cuddler.
You go to hospital and hold babies who are suffering from
Drug addicted or
withdrawals. And how amazing. I just want to say before, and I know Lieutenant Rodriguez is going to jump right in there, there are true angels in this world, and the work you're doing, you're an angel.
Oh, thank
and we really
you.
appreciate that. Can you just tell us, and Lieutenant Rodriguez can talk about how we're working this into the department, what made you think of the New Bedford Police and how this could work with our work, based on what you've seen and that little moments of transformation and happiness you give to these young ones?
I see a lot in our ER. I see a lot of children come in. I see a lot of the moms when I work up in level 2. And these kids are they're like rays of sunshine. And you never know the walks of life. And I just think that if we can make a child happy by giving them a teddy bear or putting a cape and mask on them, it means everything to me. And it really changes the way a child even interacts with a physician or an officer, or it allows them to open up and not be afraid. And I see it a lot when we give these teddy bears out or we put the mask on. I had the luxury of going down into the OR at St. Luke's a few weeks ago, and I watched these kids that were going in for surgery, tonsils or whatnot, and they all have their capes and masks on, and they're marching around, and you would never know they're about to go under and be put to sleep and maybe have like not the best experience, but they felt like they were superheroes. And it was like a blessing for me to watch. There were times that I'll be in the grocery store and I'll see a teddy bear that I know a child got, perhaps even 2 years ago, and they still have that teddy bear. So it matters. It's, you know, something maybe so small and insignificant to someone, but for that child, it's major. It's just, and it makes you smile. I smile every day when I think about this program and when I see the kids. And so I wanted to bring it to y'all because what you do is remarkable. And I'm sure you see some things that you take home with you at night that are tough. And sometimes I feel like if we can just put a stuffed animal in the hands of a child to maybe make your job a little easier, that means everything to me.
Well, we really appreciate it. Lieutenant Rodriguez, you were tasked with distributing this out. Explain to our viewers how this is working with our department and how you distribute this out, and who has these wonderful kits to bring this happiness to these little ones.
So these wonderful kits were distributed to all 3 of our patrol stations and also our detective divisions, as well as juvenile. And I think it's great. One of our officers come across a child that may be going through some type of traumatic issue. And I think it's wonderful if we're there and we're able to at least provide comfort, to that child and hand them a teddy bear. Which to me is synonymous with comfort, right? They hand you a teddy bear, you squeeze it, it feels soft and it's nice. And then the mask and cape is also, gives you a sense of being a superhero and feel like you can overcome things and you can challenge things. So really the concept is great and it's twofold in that sense.
And we get to do a couple different things, Lieutenant Rodriguez, am I right? Because life is about building relationships. And you're right, Lieutenant Rodriguez, sometimes people, these young kids have had some traumatic experiences, and this helps ease that for even a moment. But sometimes just interacting with the police, some might say, for some of these kids who have been thought that police are not your friend, to see us from a different light, a humanistic light, and it fits in very well with our community policing philosophy. So you're doing so much good with us. It's just not about the little kids. You're doing stuff for us as well.
And sometimes even something as little as a traffic stop is scary for a child to have their parent, being stopped by the police. And I know I've been stopped, and it is a little scary and a little intimidating. So a child in the back, sometimes it, if you detect that it is a little scary for them, if you can pull out a little stuffed animal to ease, so when they see you again, they don't equate it as a scary situation, I think that helps.
Well, it's nice too on the I'm sorry.
That's okay.
On a traffic stop, we can give, if we have to give a ticket, everybody gets something in the car. Mom or dad gets a ticket.
Exactly.
Well, it shows it like the chief alluded to. It shows a humanistic side, and it also shows that we're not machines masquerading as people. We're human beings. We have many of us have children, and we care about children. We're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that anyone's safe, but especially a child, because they're so innocent.
Well, they're so innocent.
They're so innocent.
Children
that's
are so innocent, and that's what I always say. I'm like, every child matters, no matter where they're from. Where they live, every child matters. And they didn't ask to be put in situations sometimes, but they are. So if we can make it a little bit brighter for them in that situation, it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
But Jill, you know what else that comes out of this that you probably weren't even planning on it? Because in that moment, there's a moment for the child, but there's also a moment for the police officers. It feels wonderful when you do good, right? And it gives you that feeling of a little bit of empathy when you're giving that to that child. And in our line of work, we see so many things, as you alluded to before, and that's true. And sometimes we can be a little hardened by it. So it softens us back up and ties us back into that big heart that all our police officers have. It takes that guard down, and for that moment we get to feel too that joy in that child. So not only are you helping that little one, you're really helping our officers too.
Well, I can tell you, even the biggest, toughest looking police officers, when they encounter children, I've seen many of them crack the biggest smile, and it definitely, it's a wonderful feeling when you see a child and you're giving them something, and not just it's a tangible thing, but it means so much more than than a stuffed animal.
Right.
So
And
it's
children are
wonderful.
a gift and they're our future, and we want them to never be afraid of you. We want them to be able to come to you if they're, have an issue. And sometimes just by giving out a stuffed animal or a mask and cape. And I've been so blessed because the community has really wrapped their arms around this project, and we've done teddy bear drives that have yielded me 2,500 teddy bears
Wow.
to date,
How
which
many?
is amazing. 2,500.
Oh my goodness.
So I would say between all the hospitals, the police departments, I do have them now incorporated into the ambulances for that way they get them before they even hit the door at the ER. We definitely go through about 1,100 a month now. So it's great. I love it. I deliver every day, and everyone's always happy to get them.
Oh, that is just so
And
wonderful.
and the community's been amazing. They've been amazing.
we have a great community.
We do
say
have
all
a
the time,
great
wonderful
community.
people, but that's because of folks like you. We have angels walking amongst us, and we have many, and you for sure are an angel that are walking amongst us and helping our heroes, our police officers, which they truly are heroes and do a great job. And
They really
very
are.
grateful for them. But what a way to connect with the little ones and for us to tie into our hearts. And on the big picture too is we're building relationships, so down the road when these little ones become adults,
Absolutely.
they'll remember that police officer.
They're gonna
And maybe
remember.
they'll have some information that we could use. Maybe they won't be so afraid to come in and tell us what they need
Right.
to make their neighborhood better, to make
Right.
their life better. So maybe someone will become police officers.
You never know.
Who knows?
Like
Thanks
that's
to you,
the
Joe.
hope. That would be the hope.
Right?
That experience.
It's been just absolutely
It's
amazing.
been, and I appreciate everything y'all have done for me.
God bless you,
I mean,
and-
it's so
and
great.
God bless you, and everyone that's helping you. Like you said, you do advocacy.
Everybody that's helping me. I'm just the quarterback on a really, really great team,
Well,
and I throw the ball.
Patriots
and
wouldn't be six times.
Hopefully they catch it.
6 times Super Bowl winners without that
Right.
amazing quarterback Tom Brady.
Hopefully they catch it.
So it's a team effort, right?
We'll put you in that same realm.
1,000,000% a team effort. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So that wraps up our first segment of Meet NBPD. We want to thank Jill Ferrens for coming here and sharing a
Thank you.
wonderful story and the program that she has. We really appreciate you spending time with us. Don't go away. Come back for our second segment of Meet NBPD. Thank you.
Get a snack, but make sure you come back.
Get a
Right.
snack,
We're
but
going to
come
be
back.
right here. You don't want to miss the next part of our program. Jill,
Thank you guys so
again.
much.
Jill.
I so appreciate
You're amazing,
it.
and everybody that's
I
helping you.
appreciate it.
God
Looking
bless you.
forward to
Thank
it.
you.
Hi, I'm Taya Leone, and you're watching New Bedford Cable Network. Good for you.
I'd like to welcome everyone back for the second part of this episode of Meet NBPD. Our next guest is Chief Brennan Cox of Albany, New York. He's here to talk a little bit about the LEAD program.
So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Yeah,
being
well,
here.
Thanks for welcoming me back to New Bedford.
Well, welcome to come back. I hope you can have a great meal tonight.
I'm looking forward to it
You
very
sure
much
will.
so. So for folks that aren't familiar, so LEAD is a law enforcement assisted diversion, and I'm from the National Support Bureau. And we've been working with New Bedford for the past couple of years now, and you guys have been operating for 8 months. LEAD started in Seattle in 2011 and it's spread to over 40 cities now where we're actively diverting folks away from the criminal justice system and into services. And those folks are suffering from behavioral health issues, substance use disorder, mental illness, folks that are living in poverty and homeless. And it's really taking folks, instead of arresting them where we know they're going through the cycle of arrest, arraignment, arrest, arraignment, arrest, arraignment, and never getting the services they need and us getting to the root cause of the issue, and allowing for us to divert them to a case manager who really deals with them in an intensive case management, street-based level harm reduction philosophy where they're able to really get to the root cause. And they're able to work with the people where they're recognizing that change takes time. They're working at a pace where the individual, when they're ready and able to make those changes, those positive changes after they build that rapport and that relationship, we see that true change take hold. And we recognize that the trauma that a lot of the folks that are participants in LEAD, that they've gone through, it takes us a long time to really get to the root of that trauma. And when we finally do get to that root of the trauma, we make that lasting change. And we know that the criminal justice system is not set up to deal with those issues. We're set up to stop folks that are involved in violent crimes, to deter people involved in that. And when we talk about folks that have substance use disorders, folks that have mental illness, folks that are homeless, we can't arrest our way out of those things.
Absolutely. Incarceration is not the answer. Chief Cox, maybe we can give our viewers a little bit of insight on how successful the program has been, either nationally, or if you just want to talk about Albany or Seattle, either one. Talk about the recidivism rate. So when we get folks, you've got folks into the program, what do statistics show us about them getting involved back, committing a crime, and going in and out of the jail system?
Absolutely. So first of all, one of the first evaluations we were able to do in Seattle was to compare individuals that were diverted into LEAD and folks that were arrested as normal. And when we looked at those two groups, we were able to show a 58% reduction in recidivism for the folks that got diverted into LEAD as compared to folks that just got arrested and sent through the regular criminal justice system. So we know that LEAD keeps people safer. And then if we want to look at an individual basis about how things work, in Albany, one of our first participants had been arrested 44 times. He was a gentleman who had a substance use disorder. He was addicted to heroin. He was using to keep himself from getting sick at that point. He was no longer wanted to get high, but he was at a point where if he didn't, he would get sick. He had been arrested 44 times, convicted 22 times, mostly for petty larceny, misdemeanor low-level crimes. And once we diverted him into services and got him a case manager and got him help and set along the right track, he didn't get arrested again after that. So we know that if we had continued to just arrest him, we would not have addressed the root cause of the issue. So we know a 58% reduction in recidivism, and we know when we looked at those individual case studies, we know that we're making an impact.
Did you say 50%?
58% reduction.
58%. Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Well, it just goes to show that some people are better served with help in different facets as opposed to going through the legal system.
Yeah, this is that is amazing. So, law enforcement assistant diversion program, which we started here now in New Bedford. Chief Cox, is there anything else you want to give our viewers before we wrap up here and move on?
Just that you guys have been great partners, and we're really happy to be here helping New Bedford out. And you guys have been just awesome supporters, and we look forward to continuing our work here.
That is great. How many other communities in the area do you know are doing LEAD?
So on the northeast coast, we're at about 7 or 8 all around the northeast. Countrywide, we're at 40. By the end of the year, we'll probably be about 50 plus, and there's also some interest internationally to start.
That's great. So I know you have some in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine.
Yeah, so locally, so if we look in New York, we're in Albany, New York, Schoharie County, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, Dover, and Farmington, New Hampshire. Those are the main sites around the Northeast.
That's great. Thank you, Chief. Nate?
Thank you. We appreciate you coming down and partnering with us in this endeavor. It's really a great thing.
Thank you.
I got good sea legs from a year of trying to find my footing, and I'm missing my home even more than I should. You're as nice an idea as the ocean is blue, especially if you were true. So much destruction in your wake, I woke and watched you dreaming. So there are no mistakes and only variations on a theme. And you can hide a child in the body of a man, and you can take more than you think you can. Forget all the lessons we learned, you should have been good to me. Forget all the lessons we learned, you should have been true. lessons we learned, you could have been good to me.
Music is Addie's life. She and artists like her deserve a chance to make a living from it. When you download music illegally, you're stealing from musicians, songwriters, and people like Addie who are denied payment for work that is rightfully theirs. Do what's right. Don't download illegal copies of music, movies, or software. Get it legally. Illegal downloads are not victimless crimes. You have the power to stop them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have Sergeant Samuel Ortega, who's the project manager of LEAD here in the New Bedford Police Department. Welcome, Sergeant Ortega.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sergeant Ortega. Maybe you can tell our viewers what you're doing with the program and your involvement. Sergeant Ortega is our project manager for LEAD. Has a few other hats that he wears as well.
Yep. Well, LEAD, we're working with members of our community, and the whole purpose of LEAD is really to keep people out of jail. We know they need help. They're struggling with substance abuse, alcohol, and where we can step in and help them and keep them out of the court system, that's really where LEAD is to help them.
So let's see if we can walk our viewers through this so they have a really good understanding how this works. Mm-hmm. So if one of our police officers encounters someone in the street that creates a crime, a small misdemeanor crime, like shoplifting, and we know that that person is suffering from addiction, how does that work? Explain to us what happens at that point and walk our viewers through it so they understand.
So the officer can check to see, make sure the person qualifies for the program. Anybody with a major felony or distribution type offense really wouldn't qualify for the program the way it's set up. But if the officer sees that this is a person that maybe has repeated shopliftings or trespassing, disturbing the peace, and they are struggling with an addiction, the officer will have them fill out a form. It gets submitted to my office. I review it with our partners. We have Seven Hills, and we have the district attorney's office that are partners with us, evaluating all the cases. And the case manager is right away, as soon as somebody shows up for intake, we have somebody ready to go and help them out.
So the way it kind of works, Sergeant Ortega, is that individual has an opportunity. Either we're going to prosecute them and take them to court, or if they want, they can join the program. Therefore, that's the diversion, right?
Yep.
So when we divert them, they have 5 days to meet up with the case manager. If they don't, then we proceed with the case in court.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. And the important thing you allude to is the district attorney is a partner, as is the mayor's office, to make this all work, right?
Correct.
So now what happens when the individual goes to the case manager within that 5 days? Explain to our viewers how that typically works.
When they go to the case manager, they have an intake evaluation of the client. Everybody has their own special needs and services that have to be tailored to them. So really the intake is to just get to know the person a little bit more, see what they're struggling with, and we can lead them to the right path.
Well, Sergeant Ortega, I mean, seems like it's twofold. I mean, one, we don't want to overburden the judicial system with minor cases. I mean, they're cases, but they're minor cases, and also, I mean, overcrowd the prison system with people who need help. I mean, the reality is they need help, and we know that substance abuse is a powerful thing, and diverting them to seek this help, to me, is more beneficial than to have them go through the rigors of the judicial system and the penal system.
Absolutely, Lieutenant Rodriguez, you're absolutely correct. Sergeant Ortega, we started 8 months ago. Maybe tell our viewers how many people we have in it, and out of them people, how many have reoffended or had another interaction with the police, a negative interaction with the police. And maybe you can talk about, is this working or not working?
Since the program began about mid-June, we've had 18 people that have actually been diverted, signed up for the program. It's totally voluntary. We don't force anybody to do the program. They sign up on their own. And that's a big first step to getting them help. They got to want to help themselves, and we're there for them. So out of the 18 that have voluntarily signed up, the far majority, I want to say, other than one or two, we've seen no repeat offenses, and we see them actively getting assistance with their case manager. So there is a lot of communication back and forth there. So we're looking to expand. We want to get as many people in as possible, hopefully doubling our numbers within the next 6 months or so. So we're definitely, I'm out there every day, so we're definitely trying to get people involved.
So this is saving lives, without question. It's changing lives and it's saving lives. So if we got 18 and you got 16 that have stayed out of our system, that's a success. I remember reading a letter from one young lady. It was addressed to you, right, Sergeant Ortega?
Yes.
And she is now doing well, and she was saying how grateful she was that she's not running the streets no more because of LEAD program, and she was in full recovery. You can't put a dollar amount on that when you change someone's life, especially when that person is your loved one. So that's amazing work that's going on out there. Again, I want to thank the District Attorney, Tom Quinn, and Mayor Mitchell for supporting this program and being partners, because without either one of them, this wouldn't happen, correct?
Correct.
What else about the program, Sammy?
With the program, I do stay in contact with the enrollees. We establish a relationship that, sometimes some people just want to talk to somebody and they just want to get away from whatever's bothering them in an environment. We build that relationship with the people. The young lady who was talking about, who wrote us a letter thanking us for the help. I'm in the community all the time. I go out with teams to sometimes provide food, soup. So we interact with them on a regular basis, and you do build a relationship working with people.
Right, and the other piece of that, Sergeant Ortega, is every other week you meet, the team meets, right? The case manager meets, the coordinator, yourself, someone from the DA's office, and sometimes a police officer that referred them every other week to talk about how well they're doing or to get them back on track. Is that correct?
Yes. We meet every 2 weeks, and like our lead national support team, Chief Cox, the officer gets more invested because they know what's going on. They have a lot of communication back and forth and say in how the program succeeds.
Well, it's a wonderful thing, definitely. We appreciate all that. We appreciate the efforts and with the many stakeholders and partners as well. Running out of time here. We want to wrap up this episode of Meet NBPD. We want to thank our viewers and guests for being with us. We want to thank Sergeant Ortega and our other guests for being here, Jill Farrings and also Chief Cox. We appreciate it, Chief.
Yeah, just to reiterate what you said, Lieutenant Rodriguez, I always want to thank you for the great work that you do. Sometimes you don't get those accolades. So thank you for that. Of course, everyone, all our guests that came here today, your team, Sammy, that works, your case manager, Caitlin, everybody that's working on LEAD, that's a big deal. Changing lives, that's a big deal. We're the first in Massachusetts to do that. I understand, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. And, and all the men and women of our police department that do a great job every day. Amazing people. We're fortunate to have them in this beautiful city. Thank you for watching, and I hope you meet Lieutenant Rodriguez and I again on our next episode of...
Meet NBPD.
Yes,
Thanks for joining us.